Welcome, everyone. You are listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. I'm your host, Pease Del Ruiz. I'm joined, as always, conjoined Terry Tam. How's it going, Terry?
I'm good. I'm wearing my New York Mets hat in solidarity for Jared Porter.
I think you chose the wrong side of that one.
Well, I mean, solidarity for his dick pic. I really want to see the picture.
Okay,
really
so that's what you're trying to do is raise awareness about his penis so you can see his penis.
Yeah.
Makes sense. The
Of
Eagle at Master Control joins us for production and other assorted items. How's it going, Eags?
Hello. I like how you've simplified my role into production and other items. Please inventory out those other items for our audience.
Yeah, well, it's because you actually do a lot more than just the production of the show, but it's just easier to say and other things because your job literally for Hot Sauce Sports is hey, Eagle, I don't understand this. Explain it to me because I'm dumb. Or, hey, Eagle, look this up. Or, hey, Eags, find something for this. And you're good. You plug all holes, man.
I love plugging holes, especially Terry's.
That's what I've heard. We got a good show ahead of us today, guys. We got Hot Sauce Bay. He's a hot sauce reviewer from Instagram. He's going to come talk to us. We did the interview ahead of time. Dude's really excitable, really fun. The kind of interview where you just pull a string and let the guy talk. Guys got a lot of really good information. I actually learned a lot during the interview. It was fun.
Yeah, honestly, it was. We'll pre-talk about the interview. I guess we're gonna precursor to the interview. Proc. Yeah, it was great. Honestly, I don't know what to expect really from just it was just a random guy that we had reached out to on Instagram, and he's like, yeah, I'll come on, I'll do it. He's from Montreal too, so it was perfect. It lined up, and I asked him a few questions about how much you shit your pants with your which hot sauce will make you shit your pants, and he gave us a good answer.
Yeah, that's really what everyone wants to know when they look at you look at a bottle of hot sauce, it's how much of this will end up on the outside of me?
How much will end up on the? How much will end up making you feel like you will die?
Exactly. We got a lot of stuff going on our site as well. Alex, the intern, posted an article. He thinks the Habs are going to win the cup, so he gives us a breakdown as to why. Christian Johnson Galvez, playing the role of the Toronto beat writer, covered the Toronto 6 games. He has another game tonight. He's covering his article for that game will come out tomorrow. The FA Cup Round 4 recap by Matt McKenzie, who is a new blogger joining our team. Chelsea sacks Frank Lampard. That's an article out by David Bruno. And Healthy Scratches, a podcast with Mark Dumont, as well as the Life and Fantasy podcast with Spence Plamondon is out. My God, that's a whole lot of content in a short week.
It's we're just pumping, man. We're just pumping.
Yeah, absolutely. I got an article out there too. We'll talk about my article when we get to talking about the NFL because it's related to something we're going to talk about on the show. So definitely, if you like the kind of content we're putting out there, remember to like and subscribe to everything we're doing. Not everything we do is for everyone, right? We try to offer a wide range of things. If you like hockey, the Healthy Scratch is there. If you like sort of just have a good time and chill and laugh, we got this show. If you guys like more in-depth topics, there's Weekly Sauce. There's all the articles. There's a lot of content coming your way. We know that you can't read all of it. We know that you can't listen to all of it, but do pick the things you like and do tell other people to follow along for the things they might like as well. But remember, the only way to keep us around is to subscribe because that's what keeps us providing the content for you. Terry, I saw this story and I thought it would be only interesting to me and maybe Eags because we kind of get in on sort of the business side of things. But I think that this is where business meets trolling, and I feel like that's why it's got sort of the mass appeal it does. I'm talking, of course, about the GameStop story. Basically, on Reddit, some people figured out, hey, a lot of people are shorting GameStop stock and looking to sort of profit off their misery. Let's actually do the opposite. Let's inflate the market price. And they drove up the market price to over $200 a share, to the point
projected to go to 1,000.
These big hedge funders had to take a loss on it.
It's crazy, and I don't understand. I buy and sell here and there. I don't understand much. I have like Air Canada stocks. Like I'm a very basic, like very minimalist investor. And when I read, and I'm interested in the stories like this because it's crazy how much money you can make by investing in companies you don't even have to buy anything from.
Well, you're not, to be clear, you're not actually investing. You're essentially gambling on what you expect the stock to do. So, for example, in your Air Canada, had you shorted that stock before the pandemic, you would have made a shit ton of money.
So that's what I'm saying. So by short means I'm betting on the fact that it's going to go down.
Yeah, so you're borrowing it at its current worth to buy it when it's lower.
Well, no. Technically, that's untrue. You're deciding. Yeah. So the general way it works is you're making an agreement with someone that at a date in the future you're going to make a transaction at a set price. Okay. So, Terry, 6 months from now, I'm going to sell you Air Canada stock at $20 a share. Right. Now, what's it worth today versus what it's worth then? If you agree to that sale or whatever the transaction it is, one of us is going to make money because the share may not be at $20 at that point in time. So if it's only at 10 and I'm selling it to at 20, right? You're overpaying for that by double, and I'm making a shit ton of money because I'm anticipating it to go down, essentially. You follow?
Okay.
Anyway, right, that's what shorting a stock is.
So these fucking hedge fund guys are like, there's no way, because the business is obsolete. I mean, if you talk about GameStop, like how many people go to EB Games or GameStop to buy games?
It's a great short conceptually until people troll you.
Don't piss off the nerds. Don't piss off the nerds. I keep on telling people this. They control the fucking world. But
like, how isn't this stock market manipulation? Like, how is this not the same as what was her name? Martha Stewart telling her rich friends, hey, this is hot stock tip. Like, I mean, they manipulated the price of the stock. Now, it was funny and it's for a good cause because fuck you hedge funders. But, like, what is the legality on this kind of stuff? Or is this, or the laws just predate the internet?
Well, technically, you can talk about maybe it being market manipulation, and the SEC is probably going to look into it. But I'm not really sure exactly how they're going to treat this, right? Because in one way, the only reason they did this is because they figured out there was a short call on these shares, right? So unless you can prove that there was some type of internal collusion between them to try and like do an insurance fraud, like if they insured the short, I don't know. I don't really know where it's going to fall legally. I think it's okay, but they're probably going to have to change something to make sure they can't do it again.
I mean, I don't think anything's going to change because this is how millions, a bunch of people have made money. And if you take this away, they're all crying now. They're all crying. Every single one of them is crying. They're all saying, I just looked at myself and I'm talking like Donald Trump. I don't know why my hands are doing this. It's very weird. They're all crying. They're all saying, "Oh no, it's not fair. It's like you're basically gambling." And no. Well, yeah, that's what buying the stock market is. People only get upset when the rich people don't make money.
Yeah, it's funny because it reminds me a lot of the end of the movie, The Big Short, where it's like, and all those people went to jail, but. And they're like, well, actually, only this one guy went to jail, basically. And
yeah, The Big Short's hilarious.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny.
There's a bunch of guys from Montreal that were part of the Big Short. Like a big reason why the whole mortgage crisis. There was a whole thing in Montreal. It's called United Vision Financial, and I knew a bunch of guys that worked there, and they made a killing off of just refinancing mortgages.
I feel like every time Montreal gets into the global news, it's always for something bad. It's like MK Ultra manipulating the stock market, and I think
Luca Magnotta,
Harvey Oswald. Luca
Magnotta.
It's seriously, like, come on, Montreal, like, step it up. Terry, we got a lot to get to, so without any further ado, it's time for the news. Terry, it's the news. I lean back. Indeed, that's the only way to do it. I listened to feedback, Terry. I got some feedback saying that it was too loud, so now I lean away from the mic when I do that. Terry, it was a championship weekend in the NFL. We saw the games. I have an article out about what happened to what happened in the Packers game. Eagle, I'm really sorry about everything that happened.
It's okay. It's only the fourth one.
It's the fourth in 7 years, right?
Yep.
That's pretty awful.
Fourth NFC championship.
In the NFC championship, twice by bad calls by the refs. This is the first time I think it was by a bad call by the team's head coach, deciding to take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands and basically kick a field goal and sort of try to play field position with under 3 minutes left. I didn't like the decision when it happened. My article kind of critiques it as well. Coaches always talk about, you got to be tough. You got to go out there and play to win. And then you see in three circumstances in these playoffs, teams kick it away while down in the fourth quarter, and all those teams end up 0-3.
I read your article, and did you mentioned Vrabel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He was willing to cut off his dick.
Vrabel famously coming out and saying, "I'd cut my dick off to go to a Super Bowl," but punting on 4th and 2 on the other team's 40-yard line. You know what I mean? So there's that. I get it. It's the football guys, football talk. You got to be tough. Dan Campbell. We'll talk about it later. But it's just listen. You want to play conservative. You don't want to mess up. We talked about it last week. Over coaching. You know what I mean? Thinking that your defense is going to make a stop because they have been doesn't mean that they're going to make a stop. If you have Aaron Rodgers in the other team's zone, you fucking go for it. I mean, I don't care who you are. Aaron Rodgers, he should have ran that in. I mean, that was his mistake, I guess. But on the third down, but realistically is that it's Aaron Rodgers. The guy has saved your ass. Well, maybe not Matt LaFleur's ass, but he saved McCarthy's ass a lot in the last fucking 10 years. You know what I mean? So give the ball to your guys. Devontae Adams is considered one of the best receivers in the league. Give the ball to your guys. Aaron Jones has been good.
Here's the simplest way I've been able to explain it to people. If you kick the field goal, you still need a touchdown. So go for the touchdown now, because if you miss, you still need a touchdown.
You still need to stop them. Either way, you need to stop them and score a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So why not try now? Worst case, you miss, and you have to do it again.
And
in the moment, I'm like, okay, the math makes sense. But realistically, it's like
it actually doesn't. So in the surrender index, there's I think a 1% difference in terms of probability outcomes of winning or not, whatever it is. However, if you make the touchdown, you have a 24% chance of winning the game or whatever it was, versus if you make the field goal, you only have a 10% chance or whatever. So this is assuming success on both of those plays. But anyway, it's very complicated.
Eagle, so what is a greater betrayal by the Packers organization? Was it taking the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, or using up 7 rounds in the NFL draft and only drafting a single player who played downs in the NFC Championship game?
On the offense.
Well, you know what they say, right? If you're potentially the number 1 draft pick and you're available at the 22nd pick, then you take it. Was that what happened with Jordan Love? No! Fucking God, get us a goddamn receiver! Jesus Christ!
They traded up for Jordan Love.
Well, Mel Kiper, they traded up. Yeah, they didn't have a first-round pick, right?
They traded with the Miami Dolphins, who had 1 million of Houston's picks, to get that pick to draft the replacement to who would be the MVP of the NFL season.
I don't hate the value pick of Jordan Love. I hate that they picked a quarterback. The value of Jordan Love is worth it at that point, but they picked a quarterback when they didn't need one. So the necessity is stupid.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Terry. There's it's not like you're a team in rebuild. This is a team that was in the NFC Championship. This is now their 3rd year in a row in the NFC Championship. It makes no sense to go out and draft a replacement quarterback. But the quarterback on the other side of this ends up being the story. Terry, I have one Tom Brady fact that, and we're not going to do too much, Super Bowl coverage and stuff because we have a week between the championship games and the Super Bowl. We'll do a whole bunch of Super Bowl stuff next week, but I didn't want to touch on this. Tom Brady did not play in the NFL for the first 35 Super Bowls. He was either not born yet or too young. Following so far?
Yes.
So he is still responsible. He's still played in 18% of all Super Bowls, even though he didn't play in any of the first 35.
So how is it 18%? I can't do math.
Yeah, 10 of 55.
Oh, they're at 55. I was gonna say, what Super Bowl are we at?
Yeah,
I'm like, we're not at 100. If I don't want to hear the Montana comparisons anymore. Like I don't want to hear Ben Botkin talk about Montana all you want, but it's not gonna happen anymore. I don't want to hear Dan Marino. I don't want to hear, oh, if he won one Super Bowl, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear Peyton Manning if he had Bill Belichick. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear everybody together now, Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time.
Do you think that's how he did his interviews for he wanted to go this season around? Like he just went into the office and be like, so you guys want to make the Super Bowl this year?
Well, one of the reports I read in the off season was when he went to go meet with Arians and the Tampa Bay group, he was recruiting them. Like he was recruiting Tampa, saying like, okay, guys, I like all your pieces. I'm going to come, and I think if we do this and we bring in a couple of pieces here and there, we're going to be a Super Bowl contender. He actually like pursued them, and I think he chose his spot very specifically, knowing his skill set, being very self-aware, knowing what he needs to succeed, knowing what he didn't have at the end in New England, and we see that there. Terry, if Tom Brady doesn't win another Super Bowl, and this is his last game, let's say this is his last game, it won't be the Super Bowl is his last game, it will be 10. We will play Super Bowls for another 45 years, and he will still have been in 10% of them.
That's fucking nuts.
Like, it's nonsense. It's
one player.
There's nothing
but
like it.
Charles Haley, I think he played in 5, so 19. I mean 9%.
Yeah, which is half, by the way. It's half of what Brady's played in. The other thing, Terry, you mentioned the argument. It's the LeBron Jordan argument. It's the Montana Brady argument, and I don't really care. Like to me, I just consider myself lucky enough that I got to see Marino, I got to see Montana, I got to see Brady. My life's amazing. But I do find the argument itself is flawed because you're considering years that Jordan and Montana didn't make it to the Super Bowl as a greater success than when LeBron or Brady make it to the Super Bowl. Like the years that you don't win the Super Bowl, whether you play there or not, still count as an L, does it not?
Oh, 100%.
So it's not like Montana played, 3 years and won 3 Super Bowls, or Jordan played 6 years and won 6 Super Bowls,
of
six
course, yeah.
championships.
So that's the thing too, is I saw a quote from MJ this week, and it was my cousin posted on Facebook, and it was so dumb. The quote, it said, Michael Jordan said, "I never lost any games. I just ran out of time."
Plus you left. Plus also
but anybody can make that argument. I can make that argument. I never made the NFL, but I just lost. I could have made the NFL. I just ran out of time.
That's true. Absolutely. I could have been pro.
Everybody can say anything at this point, and people fucking flock to these quotes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's stupid to me, and it's like that's what bothers me the most is that there's this whole thing. Let's take them for what they are. LeBron James, Tom Brady, this era, they are the guys. They are the guys that we look at and we look at them and we know they're the best. That's it. That's all we have to do. And like Pete said, is that we're lucky enough to have seen them. I didn't really watch that much Jordan basketball. I watched a bit of it. I wasn't a basketball fan back then. I became more of a basketball fan like late 90s, early 2000s. So, and with Tom Brady, since 2001, I've watched this guy grow up and just dominate the league on a yearly basis, and it's crazy to me how people can even consider somebody else. That's my whole thing.
And it won't matter because Pat Mahomes is winning the next 15. So,
I don't know. I mean, as good as the Chiefs are, I don't know. Because
I don't know how you beat him. Like
they don't score quick. The Chiefs but the Bucks do. The Bucks can get like a 10-point lead early, and I don't know.
So I haven't seen anyone truly be able to defend like what Mahomes does, because if you blitz him, he just shreds you. His numbers under pressure are already legendarily great, and then if you don't, then this guy who can throw the ball anywhere, from any arm angle, and he can also run. Like you giving him all the time in the world. It doesn't. I don't understand. Like I'm dumb, right? I'm not an NFL coach. Fine. I don't understand how you stop that with those constraints.
You want to save the predictions for next week, so we
we'll do that
then.
We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do it next week because a lot of things are going to happen, and we're going to be talking to David Sanchez tomorrow, so he'll probably give us a few of his predictions.
Absolutely. Terry, 0 players got inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I couldn't find a good video clip of this just because the original clip is like 5 minutes long. But Tom Verducci put out a video about himself filling out a piece of paper talking about the virtues of having ascended by mail, and it is the funniest thing I've seen on the internet. Like, it's better than the Bernie Sanders meme.
I don't like Tom Verducci. I mean, listen, he's a good writer and everything, and
I absolutely
appreciate him, but
yeah, it was such a joke of a video. Like, it's just a video of him stroking himself about like, yeah, I get to vote on this. Oh yeah.
Vote on what, apparently? So I like the system. I don't like the fact that in the NFL, the NHL, there's always going to be X amount of number that, like, 5 people have to get in, whatever the number is. If you don't get enough votes, you shouldn't get in. That's the way I see it. And now when it comes to the case of Curt Schilling, Barry Bonds, and A-Rod, everybody's talking about them now, is that when these older guys start dying off, then Barry Bonds and A-Rod are going to get in.
but so, dude, like, Barry Bonds, Hall of Fame, yes or no?
Yes.
I mean, he's the best baseball player I've ever seen in my life, and it's not even close.
Vladimir Guerrero for me.
I
just think that Vladimir Guerrero didn't have like the work ethic that like Barry Bonds did. If Vladimir Guerrero gave a shit about his body, I think we would be talking about him for a lot longer of a career. Maybe not the same amount of home runs. I mean, pure hitter, Barry Bonds. There's no doubt.
I have a story about I might have mentioned on the show before when Barry Bonds was the hitting coach of the Marlins. He got infuriated because the hitters on the team couldn't distinguish the ball that was traveling at 97 miles an hour. Like, what do you mean that you don't see the rotation of the seam of the ball? Like, that's the type of vision Barry Bonds had, that he didn't understand how normal human beings don't have that vision. The fact that I know that he cheated, and I think that where this all comes down is A-Rod, because he's already been accepted back into the club. He's broadcasting games. He's popular again.
He was on bid to buy a team, so like he's in the clique now.
That's it. So like I think that's where this all comes down. But at the same time, I kind of agree with you, Terry, about the baseball system, but I hate the baseball approach to this, where it's so self-sacrosanct, and like, you're okay with Ty Cobb, who was just an awful human being, being in the Hall of Fame, but Barry Bonds, who broke other rules, is not in the game. Like, it is not in the Hall of Fame. It makes no sense. It's supposed to be a museum of the game, and you're taking away its most important chapter. Like, all these baseball writers, like a guy like Tom Verducci, wasn't it the steroid era that gave him his career in baseball?
Absolutely. He would have nothing to write about. If it wasn't for that era, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, that whole thing, Jose Canseco, Juiced. You ever read Juiced?
Sorry?
You ever read the book Juiced? Jose Canseco's book? Yeah. Great book. Great book. Absolutely. Because of how dumb he is. And if there wasn't these guys, we wouldn't be talking about baseball. Mike Trout wouldn't be making $400 million right now if it wasn't for Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire. So there's a thing that we need to put in place that says, hey, you're going to get into the Hall of Fame because the amount of money you've made all these journalists and all these fucking analysts and future players. And that's the part that bothers me the most, is like, okay, they got in shit. They got caught, whatever. They were on the juice. Who gives a fuck? It's not a contact sport. Okay, that's the way I see it. If it's a contact sport, you're not the juice. Hockey, football, boxing, MMA, whatever. Baseball is not a contact sport. If you want to hit the ball as far as you can, then hit it. If you need fucking to put syringes in your ass to do it, then do it.
But also, the pitchers were also taking steroids.
Of course, everybody's on it. Fuck. Even Roger Clemens.
Fair at that point? Like if everyone's like, it's a whole thing with Lance Armstrong, right? When we believed everyone else is cheating except for this one guy who's dominating everyone. And then, like, when you find out he was cheating, like, well, obviously he's beating all the people who are taking steroids.
Not only that, but if you looked at all the people that tested positive for steroids, you would have to have gone to, like, the person that finished 25th at the Tour de France. But somehow Lance Armstrong was the one that was the scapegoat. Listen, he did it. It was wrong. I get it. But, like, let's call a spade here. The system's broken, not the person.
Absolutely. And we see Curt Schilling now saying he doesn't want to be considered anymore. He wants to be removed from the list. Curt Schilling
He's actually an asshole. So.
Sorry?
He's actually an asshole, so yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with him.
I actually, so it's going to be surprising to you, Terry, because of my sensibilities, because I actually think he's absolutely an asshole. I think he's a piece of shit, and he profits on the internet by just being a dick. That said, to me, the Hall of Fame is about what you do on the field, and there's no doubt Curt Schilling was great. Like,
Absolutely.
he has absolutely moments you remember. His numbers are absolutely on par with people in the Hall of Fame. And I hate the idea of like, well, this guy's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. His career won't improve next year. The numbers are already there. So either you think they're good enough or they're not.
Oh, it brings me back to the NHL argument with Pat Burns. I've brought this up a few times. Pat Burns was like on his deathbed and he was eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. They didn't put him in because some reason, whatever, they didn't put him in, and then they put him in the next year.
Yeah.
And after he died.
And I like what a waste.
Why? Honestly, like, you know he's gonna get in, put him in.
Yeah, honestly, at that point you're just a piece of shit for not putting him in. Like,
put him
what
in.
Are you doing?
He's gonna die. He's one of the best coaches in the history of the NHL. Put him in. Fuck. People are stupid. People don't want to set precedents because they don't want to be wrong. They are dumb. People are dumb. I am stupid. Humans are stupid. That's my philosophical theory. It's like Greeks.
So we should
say
let
anything.
animals.
I'm dumb.
Let animals vote on the Hall of Fame. Like when they let cats choose the winner of the football game. Same thing.
Oh, like Maggie the monkey on TSN. Yeah, like
get Maggie the monkey.
Yeah,
and let her vote yes or no on Barry Bonds. I'm sure she'll vote yes.
Just move the voting to Twitter polls. Done.
Or we just get Duke's dog, Scoop, and whichever picture he shits on, that's the one that's going to go to the Hall of Fame. That's the guy.
We need to do that. We need to recast the vote with just Snoop voting on who gets into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I'm fucking down with that. I'm sure 100% Duke will do it.
Yeah, we gotta set this up. Eagle, we'll set it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think once A-Rod gets in, I think a lot of this stuff falls because he's just the pretty face you can put on steroids. Conor McGregor took an L at the UFC. I watched the fight, Terry, and you know more about the sport than I do. But to me, it just looked like Conor McGregor was not particularly ready or sharp for this fight.
Oh no, he looked good. I do think he looked good. A lot of people like to say that after the fact, but realistically,
he looked like he was letting himself get hit a lot early. Well,
this is what Conor McGregor does, though. The thing is, Conor McGregor, if you bring the fight to him, he doesn't really respond well. All his fights, every single one of them, every time he's knocked somebody out or whatever, he's grinded. He's the one that had to put to work. If you watch the fight, the first round was all him. He won the round. There's no doubt. Conor McGregor 1-0 going to the second. Second round starts. He starts peppering Dustin Poirier again against the cage. Dustin Poirier's back against the cage. All of a sudden, Poirier, who's always been very good at this, he makes extremely good adjustments. His coaching is unbelievable. He has one of the best coaches in Mike Brown in the world, an American top team. And they made those adjustments mid-round, and he flipped it. He put Conor against the cage. What Conor doesn't do, what a lot of fighters do, is that when you get tagged, they react by putting their hands up to protect their chin. Where Conor doesn't do that. Conor's not a natural boxer. He's a karate guy. So his hands are always down. So he's naturally trying to move his head. He has very good head movement. So as he's trying to move his head, Dustin Poirier figured out his combinations and cracked him one on the forehead that dropped him. It was all Dustin Poirier. I don't want to take anything away from Dustin Poirier. Like we spoke about this before the show. I was watching First Take yesterday, and Dustin Poirier is on, and the first two questions that Molly Karim, is that her name?
Molly Karim
and Stephen A asked were about Conor McGregor's stamina and his career path. Who gives a fuck? Dustin Poirier has a t-shirt that says The Good Fight. It's about his charity that the whole fight was based around him, and they didn't ask him one question. People need to stop getting on Conor's dick and talk about the guy who just beat him, Dustin Poirier. The guy fought a perfect fight, and he's a good fighter, and we need to give him respect. The fact that Conor lost isn't an insult to shouldn't be considered as an insult to Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is a good fighter, and
honestly,
it's boring.
I thought Poirier fought a good fight, and to me, again, it just seemed like McGregor left himself open. But to your point,
he did.
And this is where I defer to your expertise because you know the sport better than I do. That's what he does, I guess, and that's why he got knocked down. I actually saw an article that came out around the same time of the fight. I don't remember if I read it before or the morning of or the morning after the fight. It was on a website called the Daily Beast, which is not something I typically refer to, but I have to give him credit. A lot of good reporting was done. They reached out to sources. They did actual reporting on this. And they talked about how ESPN hasn't wanted to talk about Conor McGregor's history with essentially rape, where he has a rape charge against him in Ireland, one of 3 sexual assault charges. ESPN actually referred to it on air as the woman's personal injury. So they didn't refer to it as a sexual assault. They didn't refer to it as a rape trial.
Well, once my friend just played a prank on me and they ordered food for me. Arab ordered me food. I just realized.
I mean, can someone play a prank on me then? Because that would be awesome.
I don't even know what it is. He sends me a screenshot. He's like, I did a favor for him. He's like, thanks for the spot. And then I look at the screenshot and I see it's Uber Eats. So, but I ignored it. And then my girlfriend just opened the door. She's like, did you order food? I'm like, no. She's like, you ordered food. I go, no, it's not me. It was Andrew.
Well, it's a weird spot in the conversation for that to happen because we're talking about ESPN not covering Conor McGregor's rape trial. Eagle, can you weigh in? Because
I mean, I guess it has to do with either they don't want to bring that topic up, or there's too many sponsorship and endorsements or brands associated with him that they don't want to tarnish the relationship. Either way, it's starting a really bad precedent in terms of if you're big enough, you can get away with anything, and the media will help you cover for it. So I don't like it.
But here's the thing. So ESPN is under no obligation to be a news entity, right? They there's no J and there's no the N stands for network, not news in ESPN. It's an entertainment network. We've come to expect them as to be a news agency because of the way they've reported throughout their history. But as times are changing, when there's never been a news agency that's been a partner with who they're covering, which is why people are concerned about the Washington Post being an interest for Jeff Bezos and Amazon. We find it interesting, for example, that the NFL is a partner with ESPN, and they stopped covering concussions at one point. And this is another case where
LeBron James not talking about this shit in China, So it's whenever your pockets are being lined, that's what people don't talk about it.
So it's important for actual reporting to be done, and a lot of it's been done by the New York Times. Because then I went down the rabbit hole and started doing some reading, and people stopped reading news and started counting on entertainment networks to bring us that news, and unfortunately, that's simply not how it works. It's definitely going to be a complicated legacy that Conor McGregor leaves behind. But at this point, Terry, is it just a bigger name? Like, I know I'm not taking away from his talent, but is his name bigger than his accomplishment?
No, because what he's accomplished for the sport is bigger than anything that anybody else has ever accomplished. You know what I mean? Yeah. What he's done for the sport is that I don't think so. I mean, his name is bigger than the fighter that he is. He's still one of the best fighters in the world. Like, there's no doubt about that. But his name is no, I don't. I think Conor McGregor's name is aligned with all his accomplishments because what he's done for the sport has brought it to a point where even Pease, you're watching it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Before this event happened, and weirdly related to the COVID acts that was signed by President Trump when he was still in office, it empowered the UFC to go after internet hackers. I don't know how the two things are related, but it's absolutely a part of that bill. Dana White made a point about going after the hackers, and then all over the United States, people were complaining because ESPN Plus went down. It appears no one's really taking credit for it, but it does appear to be that they were sort of victims of a sort of hacking retaliation. But sort of neither side is taking, like, they're not taking credit for it, and then ESPN is not admitting to this. But essentially, hundreds of thousands of people who paid for the fight weren't able to watch the fight. And then I just remembered this interview he did with Ariel Helwani, and I want to bring it up because Dana White has one move. He's a bully. It's what he does. And this is, to me, just an old man sounding like a boomer in an interview.
This is old. This is like 12 years old.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. I wanted to
credit card info's on the site. You don't care what's going on. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, people said my website. It's what it was is you had all these people that are part of this whole internet thing that's going on, that we're doing that. You're not going to play games with me. I'm not going to play games with you people. You know, these guys went in and hacked our website. They moved our URL. That's what they did. You know, first of all, the system that we have set up at UFC is very good. You know, for people, but there's guys out there. These internet guys are geniuses. These guys are hacking government websites. You know, this stuff's going to happen. And no, nobody's stuff was compromised. But again, I just had this conversation earlier. You know, you have a lot of people, including yourself, and yes, I will call you out, and all the other journalists that are terrified of the media, of the internet. They're terrified of the internet.
What makes you say that?
It's a fact. I've dealt with it for the last 10 years with you guys. Guys are terrified of the internet, but don't feel bad.
Based on what? I'm just curious.
There's senators and lots of other people that are terrified of the internet.
What would we be scared of? We work on the internet. What would we be scared of?
You're scared of the
people?
Of the people. You're absolutely afraid.
But based on what?
Of the people. Don't play games. You know you are. You are, and all the other guys that were standing here today are terrified of the internet. I'm not. I'm not afraid of the internet. It's a place where cowards live. Okay? And the way that this whole thing has gone down, them hacking our site was the best thing they could have ever done for us. Because what that does is now you look like terrorists. And now a lot of people that were afraid of you now hate you. You know? There's a way. Is this bill perfect? No bill is perfect.
You mean the SOPA and PIPA?
So no bill is perfect. I think this thing started off with the right idea. You know, stealing is stealing. If you walk into a store and you steal a watch, or if you steal a pay-per-view, it's still stealing. But there's this whole generation that grew up when everything is free on the internet, you know, and they don't want to see that change. And I understand that. I get it. But it's not right. There's something that needs to be worked out that works for everybody, whether it's the UFC, stealing pay-per-views, stealing people's songs, the artists, whether it's movies or whatever it might be. There's an answer to fix this.
So I wouldn't call. I mean, listen, Dana White and Helwani have gone at it for years. Helwani's not allowed at events anymore. I mean, he's allowed back, but he just doesn't go because he doesn't need to anymore. Dana White is a very shrewd businessman, and yeah, he could bully people, but he's right though. If I'm gonna catch you, if I'm gonna have to sacrifice a few people. Because the whole thing with fighters is that people complain that they don't get paid enough, right? Especially in the UFC. And what he's trying to do is make sure that the money that the product that they're putting out is being paid for, which is normal, right? We put out free content. You don't have to pay us shit, okay? But if we paid for it and then somebody hacked it, you know, if somebody paid $5 a month, why are you paying $5 a month and somebody else isn't? I pay for every single UFC. I find it's pretty shitty that there's people out there that complain on Twitter and online that they can't find a free stream. That's the part that bothers me.
Like I get that. It just, for me, it was like he talked about the hacker like it was a person. And
yeah. He's like the guy.
And like, you know, I kind of like Ariel's reaction. It's one of my favorite interviews he's done, where he's kind of like tongue in cheek, be like, "Why would we be scared of the internet? We work on the internet." Like,
no, but what Dana White meant when he said we found the guy, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because he then this time around was like saying we found the guy.
So they did find a guy. They did find a guy.
Correct.
Yeah, a guy. They did, and he's talked about it in the post-fight press conference after. He said there's this one guy that had access to, like, when he put his live stream on, there was a bunch of websites that paid him to put it on. So he was like one of the guys. So when he said that at the pre-fight press conference, that guy the guy that they found, okay, put a statement out saying, "I'm not putting the McGregor fight on." So it's because he was worried. He's like, it's a good thing you didn't do it because we caught you. So now the thing about Dana White is that he likes to say a lot of things. We don't know if we believe him or not, but I believe that they're putting their millions of dollars into the fact, trying to find guys that are scamming them for millions of dollars.
I know. It just to your point, Terry, you can't fuck with the nerds because they're gonna come for all your shit.
All of them, every single one of them.
Like, I feel like
Eagle. I don't trust that guy, but I'm not gonna cross him once. Never.
But it's it. Like, you know, I get that Dana White can be an intimidating guy and he's got a lot of resources behind him, but at the same time, they kind of knock down your feet on ESPN Plus. Like, do you want to keep going at them? Like, maybe just pretend like it's not going on, or find more subtle ways. Maybe don't brag about taking it down. Just sort of take them down and, you know, quietly collect your money. Anyway, we got a great interview coming. We're going to talk to Hot Sauce Bay. He's an internet hot sauce connoisseur. It's a perfect marriage with us because we're fat and we like eating stuff with hot sauce on it.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back. As promised, we have a hot sauce reviewer. Those closest to him and those he considers to be friends call him Alexis. So we call him Hot Sauce Bay. That is where you can find him on Instagram. The dude loves the sauce. It was a perfect pairing with us, of course. Hot Sauce Bay, thank you for joining us on Hot Sauce Sports. What can you tell us about your page and what got you to start reviewing hot sauces?
Great, thanks. Question. I want to thank you guys again for having me on here. It's actually my first podcast experience ever, and definitely living up to the hype, and it's exciting, And I mean, as you'll get to know through this whole session, I kind of like talking, so I guess you picked the right guy to be on your show. To answer your question, honestly, it's not really that long of a story. It's basically just, I'd say, halfway through high school, I kind of started putting a ridiculous amount of chili flakes and pepper on like my pizza at lunchtime, and then I'm like, hey, I kind of like the capsaicin sensation and kind of like discovering different foods and learning about different cultures and different cuisines. So I kind of like just started saying, hey, why don't I just get into hot sauce? And actually one year, it was 2011, so at the end of my high school years, I was at the Atwater Market. And that was my first real experience there. And I got to go to Les Douceurs du Marché, which has an amazing selection of local and internationally renowned hot sauces. And so I went there. I just started, I bought, 4 or 5 bottles with, wacky names and all kinds, like on the tongue-in-cheek kind of titles. But I kind of still read the ingredients. I wanted to make sure, is it kind of natural or is it tasty? And after that, man, that's where it took off. I just started buying a lot of different hot sauces. I began doing a few reviews online. I had like a small blog thing that I kind of stopped, but then I ended up doing actually online reviews for Chili Chili's, and they're based in Ottawa actually, and they have the largest hot sauce collection or hot sauce selection in all of Canada, and they actually ship everywhere. And so for a while, my initial experience of thinking about these kinds of topics more deeply was, really just writing actual reviews. I wrote, 400, 500 words on a sauce, any given sauce that I enjoyed. And I would talk about the pairings. I talked about the heat level, of course, even though that's subjective, as you know. I kind of wanted to go into details about, what ingredients are there, how the flavors are balanced, and a bit about companies. Because as you guys know, there's so many hot sauce companies now, and there's a lot of amazing local ones in Quebec as well. So it kind of just all kind of snowballed. And I also worked for another hot sauce company in Quebec, doing like production and being kind of sales rep type of guy, but it was more like doing demos, like Marché Jean Talon, Marché Atwater, and a few grocery stores around the area. I would basically go there, have a bunch of hummus, have some salads I prepared, and like have the hot sauce in all of it and just kind of help with selling. So I guess this kind of gives you an overview really, but a big part of this, and I have to give a shout out to all my friends that have suffered with me through the years, is really like, and when social gatherings were still, possible, I would have a lot of friends over either for my birthday or just in general, and we'd have just order a ton of pizza or poutines and all kinds of stuff. And I have like, I don't know, man, I have like 50 sauces in my fridge or more at any given time. And I have a whole hot sauce collection of empty bottles that I've like obviously washed out, categorized, organized nicely. And I kind of have it as like a flavor wall. I know there's a lot of jokes about like, you want to see my pleasure room? Like, like the, what was that? That horrible book for 40-year-olds or whatever.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I was like 50 Shades of Grey. Let me show you my pleasure room, but me, it's literally just hot sauce. So like, nothing too harmful, but man, some sauces can really kick your ass, that's for sure. So to summarize it, man, it's been always an introspective / social journey for me, getting my friends to try hot sauce. And as you're going to know throughout this podcast, through this session, I'm not all crazy about heat only. It's really the flavor is paramount. It's flavor for me is way more important than just, oh man, this sauce is so damn hot, it's like blowing my brains out. That's fun, and there's a time and a place for it, and it's fun to have the natural kind of, physiological reactions going on. But to me, it's really like, does it taste good, and do you like it? That's what matters. It's kind of like with whiskey or gin or like other things or wines even. I'm not saying this is as complex as wines, of course, but you might be a fan of more vinegary. You might be a fan of, you might not like smoky sauces. You might really like passion fruit mango sauces with freaking Scotch bonnet. I don't care. Like, you can like whatever you want. And that's the beauty of hot sauce is that there's such a diversity in hot sauce that I think a lot of people are not aware of. And I'll just finish with this point. When I was doing my kind of sales rep demoing of hot sauces for a while. Oh, and another shout out to Boucherie Beaubien. They're on Rue Nicolas in Hochelaga, and they have an amazing butcher. It's an amazing butcher, and they have tons of Quebec and North American and other like international hot sauces. They have great meats, great snacks, great beers, marinades, barbecue sauces, and they were the first people I had worked for before working for the other hot sauce company. So yeah, pretty crazy. So all this to say, man, like to me, it's really about getting together. Well, it used to be about getting together with friends, saying, "Oh, you're trying that glow sauce? Oh shit!" And then like I'd have like a recording of like all our reactions and stuff. It was never like a super formal hot ones kind of thing. It was really just try this out. And I got so many of my friends into hot sauce. Like I have friends, man. They would like just touch sriracha and they're like, "Oh shit, I'm dying. Oh my god, I'm gonna die." I'm like, dude, like. And that's the thing, man. I know, exactly. But I don't belittle my friends either. Because, I mean, it's easy to just be like, "Oh, you find that hot, you fucking, loser," or whatever. But I'm never that kind of person anyway. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I tease. It's normal. But to me, it's just like, hey, man, if you really like that garlic, smoked habanero, fucking, I don't know, pickled, whatever sauce, then you go for it. And I don't know how I'm coming off to you, but I'm a super open-minded person in a lot of aspects of life, but especially when it comes to hot sauce. Like, it takes a lot for me to be like, man, that sucks. That really sucks. So that's kind of like, I guess I'd say like a brief summary about that. And I'll add one last thing and I'll keep going. But basically my page, it is a lot about hot sauce. Primarily, I would do a lot of food blogging and food, quote unquote, reviews. I would never go super into like, oh, I had these scallops with this asparagus, blah, blah, blah. And, I wouldn't rate my meals. It was really like when I was still going out to restaurants, I'd really enjoy the social aspects of dining out, meeting new people, quote unquote foodies, even though I don't really use that word about myself because I think it's kind of redundant at this point. But it's just like, food, cocktails. I don't know if you've seen on my page. I love making cocktails, especially since quarantine started last year. I've just been amping up my home bar and really like experimenting with different spirits and I'm based on the classics, man. Like I just have like old fashioned Manhattan, Negroni and
Eagle our producer's a huge old fashioned guy.
I like all that shit, all that stuff. Negronis too. Nice. There's another variation of a Negroni with Lillet instead of using the whatever you're gonna use there.
The white Negroni?
Very different.
The white Negroni?
The white Negroni, yeah.
And white /gold, and I call it. I mean, you can call it white, but sometimes depending on how much Suze you put and whatever, it ends up looking gold. But I don't care. But yeah, man, like that's definitely Negronis are great. And old fashioned. I have a question then for you actually. I'll turn the floor to you. Are you more into bourbon or rye when it comes to like classic cocktails, or you could say both, and then it depends on my mood or whatever.
I usually go with a nice good bourbon, keep it the classic style and everything. But I have 20 or 25 different types of bitters, like whether it's cranberry or rhubarb or cocoa macadamia nut type of stuff. Like they're all over the place.
Nice. Are you
all right? So we don't have any more questions for you, Alexis.
Yeah. I was just gonna say so. Hot Sauce Bay, I'm super happy you joined us. It is your first podcast, and honestly, I love the just pull the string and let the guy go. It was awesome to like a comedic level. How you basically just give us the biography. I loved it, but in order for us to get the most out of you, if you can just restrict your answers a little bit, because right now you're facing for one question per interview.
It was great though. Honestly, I'm writing down as you're talking, and I wanted to ask you a few questions. So one is, what the hell is a Scoville? So that's the first thing.
Good question, Terry.
I never knew what a Scoville was until we did our first episode. I think we called it like Scoville. What was our first?
It was Welcome to Scoville. Yeah.
Welcome to Scoville. Yeah. I have no idea what it is. So what is a Scoville, Alexi?
Yeah. So basically in 1830, 1840, there's this guy in America. I don't know where. Someone out in North Carolina. I don't fucking. This guy, he's a scientist.
Actually, Gainesville, Florida.
Angel, Florida. There you go.
Angel, Florida.
Gainesville.
He's probably the best. Best.
He was born in Connecticut, but he ended up in Florida at the end of his life. Yeah.
You would never think that somebody from Connecticut would invent hot sauce. Most basic people ever.
I think they invented like Stepford Wives or whatever.
They don't even put salt on anything.
Yeah, I know. It's like. What's that meme with the white people? It's like, honey, you spiced it up this year, and it's like just salt. It's like, okay. So Wilbur Scoville, basically, he was this chemist in the late mid to late 19th century in the U.S. And basically, he discovered, or he through certain tests he was very much a chemist. He's very much a chemistry guy. He invented or coined the organoleptic test, which basically he would take hot peppers or like the extract of hot peppers and he would dilute them in water. And he kept testing with people. The reason it's called organoleptic is because you're using your organs, so to speak, you're in your mouth and your throat to kind of test, is it spicy still? So he would dilute continually until, I don't know, he had some units like thousands of drops to drops of whatever, jalapeno or habanero or whatever. Yeah. And he would do that until the heat is not detectable. Then that would be like, okay, so that was 5,000 Scoville because it took 5,000 drops of water to kind of bring it to nothing.
Okay,
so,
that's what I was wondering. Like, what do you mean 2 million?
Yeah.
Like, what are you putting? What 2 million is in this drop of freaking hot sauce right here?
So it's basically
like
it is
a pool.
It is how much water. So just Scoville is just a fancy word for water. So right now I'm drinking myself a 12 glass of Scoville. It's delicious.
All right.
Hot sauce Bay, I wanted to know, what's your favorite base pepper for hot sauce? For myself, I was big on Scotch bonnet. Now I've sort of migrated a little bit. I love Apache-based hot sauces.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely a good one. Because there's so many peppers out there, and although, as you know, most hot sauces really focus on, almost everything. It's jalapeno, habanero, ghost, reaper, I love sauces. Actually, I really like sauces that they experiment with different ways, like either the peppers are pickled more or they're smoked. I'd say overall, I think, because as you know, even within, say, the habanero category, there's different ones. There's green, yellow, red, orange. There's there's a lot of varieties. I don't know. I think my classic favorite really is, I'd say habanero, red habanero, mixed with like different things. So I don't know, like it's hard for me to say just because I like every sauce, really. Every pepper I think has value. Every pepper can be used in really interesting ways. So I'd say habanero is like my most go-to, where I'm like, you know what, I don't want it to be like super mild, but I don't want it to be like that hot, like too hot either. And for me, habanero is a good like middle ground. Ghost pepper is really earthy and particular, and I really like that one. I think the Reaper has a better flavor than Ghost. That's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think habanero is like the general go-to. I'll have to say that's my favorite. And as you know, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of variety within the habanero category. So I don't want to give you too specific an answer because the red one from this region of this, because that's not necessarily.
So when we started doing hot sauce, whatever, people always thought that like I'm a hot sauce guy. Like I like hot sauce. We got a few hot sauce sponsors that ended up coming out and it worked out well for us. So it's always fun. But I always say I'll say oh, this is good sauce. You'll shit your ass. Like what is the hot sauce that has made your bowel movements probably burn the most?
Actually, that's a great question. It's a very necessary question for
sure.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. It's always the first thing that people want to know.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, how far have you gone? I can't say that I've like ingested military grade pepper spray, but I've come close to that. So there's this hot sauce, and shout out to Hellfire Hot Sauce from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Merle and Diana, they're the owners. They're amazing people. I've actually met them in New York 2 years in a row. When I had also met Sean Evans, which is another thing we could maybe touch on later. But yeah, I met the guy. It was cool. Anyway, so
Sean Evans is the hot sauce, is the Hot Ones guy, right?
Yeah, the Hot Ones interviewer,
he's
famous
cool.
guy. Yeah. So basically, the sauce, man, absolutely wrecked me. It wrecked me so much, it didn't even bother to go to my stomach, dude. Like, I'm not even kidding right now. So this, I'll give a really, of course, very abridged version of the experience, because I know, don't want to go into too much detail. Basically, and I've had a lot of hot sauces that, at least 1 million Scoville, which is already quite damn hot, especially because this is the thing, man. If you eat a ghost pepper, it's between 800,000 and 1 million Scoville, generally speaking. That's if you eat the entire pepper. That's for sure you're getting that. That's different than just having a tiny bite. It's not exactly, you know what I mean? So a hot sauce that's literally been chemically tested in a lab to be this is definitely 1 million on the dot. So man, I had a sauce like that, and I'm able to have a couple of drops, and it's pretty damn good, I will say. Some of them, Mad Dog 25th Anniversary Edition, amazing. Mm-hmm. Original Mad Dog, can't really stand it, but that's just not my cup of tea. But Mad Dog 25th Anniversary Edition comes with another nice little bullet. That's great. But this other sauce that actually destroyed me is even hotter than that, I think. It's called Right Hand of Doom, and it was actually made for the Hellboy movie. You know, I don't know if you know that Hellfire.
I think I've had this one.
Have you seen them? The Right Hand of Doom. It's like dark brown.
Yeah, I think I've tried it. My friend of mine, I brought like a few hot sauces, and I think that was one of them.
Okay. I'll tell you my experience, and then I want to see your feedback. Basically, man, I didn't actually, but I did was, I had to milk it. I'm not gonna do this alone and just die in a corner. So I went on Instagram Live, of course. Some people joined and they started chatting, and man, I think maybe not a full tablespoon, but almost a table, definitely more than a teaspoon, which is already absolutely ridiculous. So I had that, man, and I thought I had a full stomach. I thought I lined it with fucking tea or I don't know, well, not tea obviously, but milk and whatever, So and then I had it, man, and it was a very slow, painful process. My mouth was on fire more than it had been in so damn long since I had like a fresh Reaper one time. And then it went into my throat, which was killing me. I was able to breathe and stuff. I don't have any respiratory problems either, so that's good. But man, once it right about to enter the stomach, and this is the weird thing. The reason that I ended up hurling, vomiting afterwards was actually because I had drunk so much goddamn almond milk and cream and ice cream and shit. My stomach just couldn't handle anything entering it. And it was still in ridiculous pain, even though I was doing all the remedies and everything they say to do. And I've already tried and tested all these methods, of course. And man, I just let it out. And then actually I felt pretty good about 10 minutes after that. So I'm so damn glad that my body knew what to do, because if that had gone to my intestines, man, I don't fucking know what I would have done. So that was probably the most painful experience, and it was a very quick experience. Within 10 minutes, all this happened. It's not I don't know if you've seen that 2010 video of some yoga dude, some shirtless yoga dude on a beach eating a ghost pepper, rolling around in the fetal position. I wasn't quite as entertaining as that guy, but I will say that my face clearly, I had a face of oh crap, I'm about to crash my car. My face was really oh shit, this is the end kind of. So yeah, that was my experience. What about you? You had that sauce, yeah?
We had it. I remember having it, but we cooked with it, so it wasn't as bad.
Oh,
but it was. Yeah, I'm not a put a hot sauce on directly on your wings kind of guy. I'm more mix it into a sauce, a batter. But I do. There is some hot sauce that I do put directly on. I tried this one called Ass Blaster. Circle back to my previous question. Yeah, Ass Blaster is pretty good. Not gonna lie, it really
was the advertising true on that one, Terry?
Yes, it blasted my ass. It blasted my ass.
Actually, Ass Reaper is very good. I know you go.
Ass Reaper.
Yeah, it had a little Grim Reaper guy on it.
Yeah, I think that was the same one. I think it was just maybe a different. Oh, it reminded me of that. Anyway. I remember the Grim Reaper on it, so maybe it was that, and I'm wrong with the name. It could be.
Oh, could be.
We're running a little short on time, but I do have one last question to ask before we let you go. Hot Sauce Bay. What, when you see people testing different kinds of things, you'll see, for example, with different types of sushi, people have ginger sort of to cleanse the palate. What's the palate cleanser for a hot sauce connoisseur?
That's a pretty good question. I can't say that I've really tested this out too much. I haven't sat down with 10 different snacks and I'm oh yeah, this is the number one out of these ones, I'd say from experience, anything that can kind of just absorb the taste back and then you just swallow that. So, it could be bread, it could be a cracker with enough maybe fiber on it or olive oil. Olive oil will definitely help take the oils off of your tongue and off of your all the other parts of your mouth. So because that binds, the fat binds, that's why drinking water has never done anything for hot sauce. And I know it's a rookie mistake. A lot of people just drink a liter of water and think that's going to do something. No, it just swishes it around. So because peppers are oil-based, right?
So milk works, right?
Oil. Yeah, milk. So milk has been proven to be effective. Also, certain citrus juices. Yeah, citrus juices actually help a little bit to neutralize. I haven't sat around. I mean, I've had lemon, straight up lemon juice that's helped a little more, and things like that. But if you're saying in terms of in between each hot sauce, what to eat to get the taste out or whatever, yeah, definitely something with a little bit of oil. Bread will also help absorb, and definitely keep your liquids going, but just not water, because that's not going to do anything.
Perfect. I mean, I want some hot sauce now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't have a current hot sauce sponsor, so we're not going to plug anybody. But if I had to, I think Ass Blaster or Ass Reaper would probably be a good one.
We got to
There's a
get
lot
them
of
as a sponsor
hot
just
sauce.
for the name alone, Terry. That would be awesome.
Oh, for sure.
Hot Sauce Bay, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, we love this kind of stuff. We have all sorts of different kinds of interviews, but mostly we just want to talk to interesting people about interesting things. And
Yeah.
very few things speak to us and our audience the way Hot Sauce does. So thank you so much
yeah.
for joining us. If you do want to connect with him, do follow him at Hot Sauce Bay. I sent in a follow request throughout the interview. I was very excited by it. So thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure being here.
That was Hot Sauce Bay, and the purpose of this interview was to interview him about hot sauce.
And we're back.
Sorry, didn't realize we're back. And we're back. It was a cool conversation. I had a good time. I love people who are new to the podcast game, Terry. They don't really understand the pacing necessarily, but you do get some great stories out of it. So like I saw early on, the dude was talking and we both want to jump in because that's kind of what we do. We want to come in with other questions, but we both sort of laid back towards the end of it saying, you know what, tell your story. It's good to go.
Yeah, he was awesome. And he could do his own podcast, just talk about hot sauce all day.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
He talked about the Scoville units. All that, so
Episode 1, History of Scoville.
It was
Absolutely.
a nice throwback. Loved it.
Episode 2, Which sauces burn your asshole.
So, or if you want the condensed version, listen to the interview with Hot Sauce Bay. Eagle, is it time?
We got time for rapid fire. All right, and this time I got 5 of them for you. We're going to start off with the Pride of the Lions. In what could have appeared to be a comedy skit, new Lions head coach Dan Campbell addressed the media and described what the team's new mission statement is going to be.
This place has been kicked, it's been battered, it's been bruised, and I can sit up here and give you coach speak all day long. I can give you, hey, we're going to win this many games. I can't. None of that matters, and you guys don't want to hear it anyway. You've had enough of that shit, so excuse my language. All right? Here's what I do know, is that this team is going to take on the identity of this city, all right? And the city's been down, and it found a way to get up, all right? It's found a way to overcome adversity, all right? And so this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth, all right, and when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down, all right? And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up. And then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing, all right? That's going to be the mentality.
I posted this on our Instagram, and it was step 1, bite your kneecap. Step 2, get up, bite another kneecap. Step 3, lose football games. That's
I do like where he like punctuates his points by saying all right, and it just seems like a weird combination of words where you say we're gonna bite off your kneecap. All right, like no, it's not all right.
Like
man.
you're asking for permission, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Dan Campbell knows this, but he's not coaching actual Lions. He's coaching people, and most people don't bite off kneecaps. And like he starts by saying, I'm not going to give you the coach speak, but then you just rattle off a whole bunch of nonsense. I'm very excited. He signed a 6-year contract, Terry.
That's crazy.
6-year contract.
How long does he last?
Dan Campbell, I'll be very happy.
How long does he last?
Depends if they get a good team around them.
4 years?
I never want people to lose their jobs, except for Adam Gase. I never call for coaches to lose their jobs because listen, if you can earn, go earn. I don't see Dan Campbell being a long-term head coach in the NFL. But let's enjoy the wave. This is gonna be awesome.
Crazier things have happened.
Not many.
Probably not. I don't think so.
The fact that he got hired is the crazier thing.
All right, next, duking it out. Coach K seemed to get a little sensitive when a student journalist happens to be his first day on the job. Jake Piazza asked a fairly standard sports media question, and his response has now gone viral on social media.
Hi, Coach. I'm just curious as to what the next step forward here is for the team as you guys move into another week of basketball.
Yeah, why don't we just evaluate this game? I'm not into what our next step forward is right now. We just finished the hard-fought game. Yeah, I don't know if what's your major? What's your major at Duke? What's your hardest class?
Econ.
Okay. So say you just had the toughest econ test in the world. And when you walked out, somebody asked you, what's your next step? You see what I mean? You have some empathy and just give us time to evaluate this game, and then we'll figure out, just like we always try to do.
When I leave an exam room, the first thing I'm thinking about, if you ask me about what happened in that class, I'll be like, I have no idea what happened the entire semester. I blocked it out completely. I don't know why you.
I would leave exams, and I was like, I crushed it. I got an A. I'm the greatest. By the time I got to the bar, I'm like, pretty sure I failed that test.
I used to tell myself that I failed every single exam. So if I did, I already expected it. But if I didn't and I passed, I'm like, oh, no, like, that's cool.
I always had two feelings. The first feeling is when they actually pass it out and you're allowed to look through it, right? Because I skim through just to look at the questions, and you get that initial gut feeling of, okay, I got this, or I'm so fucked. And then right at the end, when you leave, and then you start talking with your classmates about what it was, and then either you're the one telling them the bad news or you're receiving the bad news. And I've had both times. It's not fun.
Or you realize, it wasn't that multiple choice?
You get out of the exam room and everyone's like, yeah, number 3 was, you got 15, right? And everyone's like, yeah. And you're like, no, I didn't get 15.
I didn't get 15. I got A.
I got false.
I got all of the above.
The thing is, so, Coach K saying that, we just want to talk about this game. And, look, it was a softball question. Come on, man. It's a student journalist. You don't even have to answer real questions by real journalists. What if he would have come to him and said, hey, Coach K, why did your team suck balls tonight? Would he have answered that? Would he have preferred that question?
Yeah, what if you sucked ass?
Seriously.
Just as long as you don't need hot sauce beforehand. Next,
that's a good point.
QB whispers. Former Broncos defensive back Chris Harris has made the assertion that Peyton Manning taught Adam Gase, the current, at that point in time, the offensive coordinator, the Denver offense, essentially. So Gase's work with Peyton Manning is largely responsible for his ascension to the Dolphins and Jets head coaching positions, and Manning has vouched for him in those jobs. So is Manning just a really big troll?
I think that we are vindicated. It's been months we've been talking about this. Months we've been talking about how Adam Gase had no idea what the fuck he was doing, and if it wasn't for Peyton Manning, the Broncos would have gone nowhere for months. And now we finally get the proof in Chris Harris. Thank you, Chris Harris.
I want to again assert that we are not the podcast that fires coaches. Whenever Alex, the intern, wants to fire people on the internet, I cringe. I find it just a shitty look. But we're on this show, we don't do that. It's not our thing. We love Dan Campbell. We're excited about hearing nonsense. It's amazing. We hated Adam Gase. We thought he was an asshole. We thought he was incompetent. And again, to your point, Terry, it absolutely vindicates us. Thank you, Jarvis Landry, for having our back. Thank you, Chris Harris, for having our back.
Appreciate you.
Everyone that Coach Gase ran off, we appreciate you. We love you.
Absolutely.
Next, Superman versus Spider-Man. After a game, Shaq didn't hold back on his feelings towards Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell in this post-game interview.
Spider, this is Shaq. I said tonight that you are one of my favorite players, but you don't have what it takes to get to that next level. I said it on purpose. I want you to hear it. What do you have to say about that?
All right. That's it.
That's it?
All right. That's it.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
what are you supposed to say to that?
I've been hearing that since my rookie year. I'm just going to get better and do what I do.
Good.
At the end of the day.
Well, that's what I want you to hear you say.
Yes,
Love
sir.
your game, brother. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
Spider.
Just imagine getting caught out live on air and having to be like, your response.
I get Shaq. I get this. He's trying to be the guy that the big brother. I see it. You know what I mean? But there's ways to go about it. Not on when the spotlight is on the kid. The kid's 24 years old. You know what I mean? He hasn't figured it out yet. He's a very good player. He's considered one of the best in the league. He's considered at least top 32 in the league, right?
And he's being interviewed because he was player of the game.
Yeah. So
right?
what are you trying to get off at, Shaq? I love Shaq. We all do. I don't think anybody doesn't like him. But what are you trying to get at here? Like, let the kid have his fucking moment. Like, go at him on Twitter, I guess, right?
Well, like, look, so I get the Big Brother thing, and Kobe was a guy who was famous for this after his career, taking guys under his wing, but not putting himself in the spotlight because he felt like it was about these young guys who needed that spotlight. Shaq is absolutely the opposite. Adam Lefko, who's worked with him, has said that Shaq is always looking to go viral, and this is one example of it. I think this is Shaq's way of having fun. He has a little bit of a strange sense of humor. But I like Donovan Mitchell's response. Like, whatever, I don't care. Like, Shaq is the exact kind of personality that would have been deeply offended and would have been wounded by this. I like Donovan Mitchell being like, whatever, I don't care. Like, whatever you say, old man.
Whatever you want, buddy.
And last one for today. This Vax is for you. Budweiser will not be airing an ad during the Super Bowl. The first time, I think, in 39 appearances or something. They will instead be using their marketing funds in order to boost vaccine awareness instead. And so as you guys answer or talk about this segment, I have some music from De La Rocca Beers that we're going to have in the background in the meantime.
Music from De La Rocca Beers?
Couldn't they just use that advertising space to advertise for vaccine awareness as Budweiser? I don't understand why pulling out is important. I mean, I understand there's other contexts.
Yes, pulling out sometimes is very important.
Yeah, just not this time. Right?
Not this time, no.
I don't see how it helps raise awareness to not talk during the Super Bowl.
Well, it could be because their beer is shit, and they're not making enough money. So this is a publicity spin. But another thing is, why don't you make a commercial on air? Put your money into there about vaccines.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Somehow link it. You get a vaccine shot, and then right after, two guys cheering because they're proud that they got the vaccine shot.
Get a vaccine, get vaccinated, get a 12-pack of Budweiser.
Yeah, something like that. Swing and a miss. We should be the marketing directors for Budweiser.
Absolutely. Budweiser, if you're looking to hire us. You'll be able to fire us very shortly thereafter because much like Adam Gase, we don't know what we're doing. Terry.
And that's the show.
That's the show. Terry, thank you very much for everything you've done. Thanks to Hot Sauce Bay for joining us on the show. Eagle, thanks for keeping everything on the rails. But most importantly, thank you all for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and pay attention to everything we're doing because we are putting a ton of content out there for you. We also have a giveaway. If you want to get something for your Valentine, you got to follow us. You got to follow Zuniga Design. You got to tag 2 people and like the post and get something for the person in your life that you care most about. If it is me, I would give it to myself because I love me some me, and thank you all for letting me be myself.
You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.